as our next guest during his time with a small indie band called the Eagles. He's in Vancouver, performing February 9th at the Centre in Vancouver for Performing Arts to support the Canadian Music Therapy Fund. Mr. Don Felder joining us. How are you, Don? Nice to see you.
Fantastic. Thanks for
joining us.
Yeah.
Tell us about this first, the Canadian Music Therapy Fund and your involvement with this. How did this all come about?
Well, I got involved with it about 2 years ago. I had a corporate event booked up at the Banff Springs Hotel.
Yeah.
And while I was in that area, I was talking to a promoter in Calgary about doing a public show there in Calgary. He suggested that we make it a benefit for the Canadian Music Therapy Trust. I'd honestly never heard of it at that time. So I started doing some research online and then speaking with some people that were involved with it and finding out really what their work is and what they do. And it's such an amazing organization because they go into places like RB, which is a rehabilitation center for the brain injured. They also go into children's cancer wards, and they're able to play music and present music for people that cannot otherwise be touched with either verbal language or whatnot, but they all really respond to music.
Yeah.
I did a thing at RB, as a matter of fact, 2 years ago when I first got involved with it, where I went out. There were about 12 or 15 patients in wheelchairs there, none of which could speak. I started playing Peaceful Easy Feeling and Tequila Sunrise and Hotel California, and these people started singing these songs, trying to sing these songs that they knew the lyrics, they knew the words, and they were just coming out of themselves. And their parents, who were standing around in the room, started crying. It was overwhelming. It was a really emotional experience.
Who's seen, so much in your musical career as well, and obviously understands that your music has a big effect on people. How transformative is that moment? I mean, when you see that it doesn't just have an emotional, but an actual therapeutic benefit. I mean,
that to me is what got me involved with the Canadian Music Therapy Trust as well, because not only just my music, but music in itself reaches a lot of people who need help, and whether they're in a hospice dealing with passing from cancer or they're brain injured, they respond to music in a very wonderful way. It's a way to reach out and touch these people with the gift of music that they can't otherwise be soothed with.
And when you go back, because I've read Heaven and Hell, your biography of your time in the Eagles and your childhood and everything, I mean, I think for everyone, there's an aspect of music that's really an escape, and it was for you as a young man as well.
Yeah, it was. I first saw Elvis Presley on television on the Ed Sullivan Show, and there was about 50 girls screaming, and I went, I think I'd like to do that myself.
Yeah, that one. Woohoo!
That's right. I think I'd like to do that. Well,
and the first time, I think, in the book, I think it was Chuck Berry that you talked about, sort of sneaking out and going to see and having to go to, a part of town where white kids weren't hanging out a whole lot, but just to see that effect and for you to be such a driving part of your life.
Yeah, it really became ingrained in me, the ability and desire to want to play music. It's a passion that I still have today, and fortunately, I've been able to develop the skills to be able to play music and excite people and please people with it. And this benefit that I'm doing here tonight in Vancouver, the proceeds all go to this Canadian Music Therapy Trust, which again gives them the funding to be able to help people in another way that would not otherwise be able to enjoy the music. So it's a win-win situation all the way around for everybody.
For sure. Do you still use music that way? I mean, when you're writing or to sit down and sort of sort through emotions and how you're feeling and use that as an outlet for every day?
It's a very therapeutic part of my life, to be able to sit and play, even if it's just acoustic guitar, and if I'm feeling a certain way, to be able to play some music that really expresses those feelings. Or if I'm really angry and I want to play some rock and roll, I can plug it in, turn it up, and let it rip, So, it's a very great way for me to express
Do you travel with guitars and stuff? Or?
I do, yes.
How many?
Well, in my show, I think I carry 8 or 10 with me, depending on the size of the show, and we use a different guitar almost for every song in the show. So it's a really fun night. A lot of people come out; they know every song, all the lyrics to all the songs. I do a lot of Eagles songs that I either co-wrote, recorded with the band, toured with the band, played for 27 years. Do a couple of cover songs. Tip of the hat to Stevie Ray Vaughan with a song called "Pride and Joy." Do a couple of originals. A song called "Heavy Metal" that was in the animated movie.
Yeah, for sure, man.
And I'm working on a CD right now, so I've got a couple of new songs that I put in my show just for people to hear a little taste of what's coming.
Well, and music has just been, in your life, I mean, when you read your story, I don't know that you really had a choice in what you were going to do, Don. I mean, you read the people that you sort of encounter when you were a young man as well. I mean, it was really like the world was kind of pushing you towards this is what you need to do with your life.
Yeah, Gainesville, the town I grew up in, just has a really unusual number of people that went on to become...
Stills.
Yeah, Stephen and I were in a band together when we were 14 called the Continentals. Our mom would drive us to these shows and drive us home, make certain we were home in bedtime. Let's see, Bernie Ledden replaced Stephen Stills in the Continentals.
Crazy.
There was a little skinny, buck-toothed, blonde-headed kid there that I taught guitar to for about a year and a half named Tommy Petty.
Little Tommy Petty.
Little Tommy
Look
Petty.
at your buck teeth, son. I don't know about this.
The Allman Brothers were there. I stole everything I know about slide guitar from Dwayne Allman. He was really the first guy I saw play slide guitar. But an unusual number of people came out of that little area, and we all influenced each other. If you listen to a lot of the music, it's very similar in feel.
Did you ever get sick of the business? I mean, you know, you went through a lot of stuff. I mean, when people read the book, you know, just all this stuff, and the business became such a part of it as well. Did you ever get disheartened at any point about music?
I personally tried to keep separate my passion for music and playing music and the world of the business.
Not an easy thing to do, though.
Every time I got involved with the business, I didn't like it. So I really like the music. I like playing music. That's what's inspired me, and that's my passion, why I keep going. Not the business, not the fame, not any of that other money and stuff that goes along with it, but just the love of music. So that's why I'm here doing this for the Canadian Music Therapy Trust. Yeah,
no kidding. Well, and what a night for people as well. Do you tell stories and stuff in between the songs?
I do, yeah.
And give some stuff like... What kind of stories, Don? Well, do you talk about the writing of the songs or what you were doing at the time?
Some of that, some of the things that go along with the songs that I play, some of the stories about the third encore, which were in the book.
Yeah.
It's a great night at the Hotel California, and everybody walks away knowing all the songs. By the end of the night, everybody's up on their feet dancing and having a great time. It's a good party. So
yeah, well, and just to be able to share that little bit of extra with people as well. You know, I mean, everybody has. I think a memory that attaches to music every single time. So to be able to create part of that memory with them is a sort of special aspect of it as well.
Yeah.
Nice. So what are the plans for the future for you? You've got a CD coming out, a new one. Do you plan? Are you a planner as you go forward? Or?
Yes and no. I'm about 3/4 of the way finishing a new CD. Later this fall, September, October, is when I plan on releasing it. I have a lot of shows booked during the summer, during festivals.
Do you like being busy? Like
I do. I love playing music, and it really it's what justifies being on the road in the airplanes and the hotels is being able to go out and play music and have so much fun doing that for people and have such a great response that it really justifies all the hardships, if you can call being on the road a hardship.
Well, I was laughing before we started because I said I'd read the book and I mentioned Keith Richards, and you're reading his on the Kindle right now as well?
I am, yes.
Do you enjoy, well, and that's actually maybe one last question as well, is often when I talk to people and they've written a biography, it's just coming out when we're talking to them. So after 2 years, is it all right? Like after a couple of years and you write it and all this information's out there, is that a good feeling? Is that easier to sort of get it off your chest? And
it was a very cathartic process for myself, almost a self-therapeutic process to go through, really take a hard look at my life from growing up in Gainesville on this little dirt road where I was raised very impoverished and being swept up into all the events that went on with the Eagles, and then how that had affected me, and at the end of that where I was in my life and how I was going to go forward. So it was a very self-reflective, cathartic process to go through writing that book, and I learned a lot about myself.
Not sick of people asking you about all these
No. And I really wanted to be just as objective as I could to get all of that out there, and just that's who I am and what I went through, and share it honestly with everyone.
Just get it done. Well, it's a tremendous read, and thank you for giving back in such an important way for people. I know my mom has worked with children with autism for many years, and this is a huge part of the therapy, and I know it benefits people on a very, very deep level. So thanks for being part of it up here in Canada, Don. We appreciate it.
That's great.
Don Felder, once again, February 9th at the Centre in Vancouver for Performing Arts. The proceeds are going to support the Canadian Music Therapy Fund. If you can't make it to the show, think about supporting them financially as well. You can go to their website. They do incredible work. We're going to take a break.